up? Another day, another dollar here. Now we back at it again with another video. And about to do that wheel bearing. So this was the new part that it was new for a long time ago. Like, well, not a long time ago. Yeah, so problem was the reason why I didn't put this one on here, because the one when I originally bought this knuckle piece, it had a wheel bearing already good on there. But now it's bad. So, and the reason why I changed this part, because the whole entire part of the little control arm was a little bit warped in the outside. I guess it was like that before I bought it. It is fixable, but there's no point of me fixing it because I already got one that's mint condition. So the first step that you do is, well, I had to take that apart. For the first step, the part that what you do is jack up your car, put it in supports. You don't have to do it on both sides, honestly. You can just do it on one side if you're doing only one wheel bearing. But if you want a little bit more extra room, then yeah, you can put both of them on both sides. And yeah, after you took off the wheel, I'm gonna show you guys, but I had to take this off first. So just okay. So I just thought of something. So I'm gonna show you guys on the car, but before I even do that, I'll show you guys outside of the car, because this is exactly how it's gonna be on the car. So besides the axle nut that you're gonna be taking off, that I have to go and get. So so the first step you do is when you're on the car, you're gonna take off your axle nut. If you guys have an Eclipse, it's gonna be a 32. So I have it in the back. I just had to grab it. So then from there, after when you break that loose, if you don't have an impact gun, then get a flathead, pop the sensor cap off, and then from there, just get a breaker bar. All right. Yeah, one of my neighbors came, and then they wanted me to just pop a bulb in. Usually I charge for working on cars and stuff like that, especially like this, but it took me like nothing past 5 minutes, so I just popped it in real quick, and that was it. But like I was saying, you take off the sensor cap, and then from there you get yourself a breaker bar. You can use a torque wrench too. If you guys don't have a breaker bar, you just set it all the way to 150 foot-pounds. If it clicks, then that means it's way past it. Then you need just to get a breaker bar, or you have a bigger one that's kind of used for semi trucks that really goes up to 300 foot-pounds. So, but yeah, pretty much you want better off having a breaker bar or impact. So after when you do that, now this is the easy part. You go on the back. You don't have to change nothing. Only thing I do recommend is turning the wheel to the left, turning the wheel all the way to the left or the right, depending on what side is best for you. Hopefully, yep. Another neighbor came and then wanted to say hello. So like I was saying again, but yeah, you just got your bolts right here. Yeah, your bolts right here. This is 17 mils for the Eclipse. If it's for a different car, then it's maybe a little bit different. But I did work on a Nissan. I did a wheel bearing off a Nissan Altima, 2006, I think, coupe. I can be wrong. With the year, but yeah, but it was a 17 for that too as well. So yeah, so this is what we do. Get my 17. Actually, is it a 17? Oh wow, it's not a 17. Probably 18. Okay. For this one, it's probably a little bit different, but it's actually, I use 11/16. Some reason the 17 was like a little bit, I had a little bit, it didn't go on. at all for the 17, but the 18 was a little bit too big, so 11/16 is standard for 17. So that worked out pretty great. I just had my foot right here, so I'm spin. I'm not recording. Going. Yeah, let me just do this real quick before I round off the bolts. Okay, so I got all the bolts unloosened, and probably some of these I might keep. This one is rounded, so I'm not gonna keep this. Probably just gonna throw that one out. But sometimes it's always good to save your bolts too as well, because I remember one time I was doing brakes. I was doing brakes on my car. Actually with these rotors itself right here. I was doing the rotors. Some reason I think I got distracted or whatever like that. Sometimes it's, no matter what, you could be the best mechanic out there, but sometimes you get distracted. You probably forget something. You go inside, blah blah blah, stuff like this. 2 people came and said what's up to me. So sometimes you get distracted or whatever like that. You lose your train of thought, and you just lose track of what you're doing. The bolt's out off the wheel bearing. After you get the bolts out off the wheel bearing, so this is a little trick that I kind of like to do. Sometimes that you can do is you can take a sledgehammer and kind of slam or hammer it out, but this is a easy trick. I never buy any tools. There's probably some tools out there that might be very good, like some bearing pullers that you can put in there and stuff like that. Wheel bearing pullers, honestly, that will be really good, really good, but that requires you to remove the axle out and do some extra work and stuff like that. So this is the easiest trick that I used to do. I actually, even with the stockest C's wheel bearings ever, is you just get a flathead. You get the smallest flathead that you can get. I don't know what. Let me show you how small it is. Like, kind of like, I don't know what happened to all my flatheads in here. I had a lot more, but oh well. But yeah, but something like this, or very skinnier than this too as well, like this one right here. But I'm not gonna be using this because that's my precious tools. So just a couple love taps. I actually tapped it a little bit. I had to do it with I had to do it with 2 hands. But you see how it's separating it, and then you kind of like prop it up and just keep on hitting around that beam right there. Sometimes it could be very stuck, and I say if you want to get it even smoother and tighter, honestly, this is a very good trick too. If you just rub it against the concrete right here, some reason it gets it it files down the metal of these bits. I thought it would never do that because it's concrete and this is metal. Metal sometimes is stronger than concrete. But if you just go like this back and forth, you can get this very sharp. I remember one time I broke a tool and I got it filed down the same thing. So let me just knock this out, and then you'll see this wheel bearing out right now. Okay, so I got this wheel bearing out very easy, and this is the one trick that the reason why I got it out really easy. You had to use high temperature grease. That's the reason why. High temperature grease. I got it from STP. I believe I have it in my backyard, so let me just go and grab it. If not, then my dad has it in his car, so I can use an alternative. So let's go in the backyard and hopefully I have it. So hold on. Okay, so actually I lost my 32 socket. It was a very nice one, but I found a very old rusty 1 1/4 socket, so you can use that as an alternative of a 32. So, and it's a snug fit, honestly. I think it's a better fit than it was on a 32, honestly. But yeah, and I actually torqued this down to spec, so hopefully we could try to use the impact. Hopefully we can knock that off. If we can't use the impact, and try to knock that off. I like to do it on the floor first before you jack it up, because the worst case scenario, if the impact can't take it off, then you have to use a breaker bar, and then you have to put the wheel back on. So just do it while it's already on the floor. You'll be, I kind of forgot what's the specs for this axle nut, but I will look it up and I will put it in this video, and a couple minutes later after this video. So hopefully Harbor Freight can knock this loose. Yeah, Harbor Freight for the win. All right. Trying to just screw this back on. I just wanted I didn't really mean to take it all the way off. I just wanted to have it just a little bit loose. Okay. And I got the STP. It's old, so it's very old, but it's STP right here, grease. So that's what I use. So anybody is from any cold climates that has a lot of rust on the floor, I recommend to buy this. I'm gonna put the link in the description. I'm gonna look it up on Amazon, and I'm gonna try to find the exact one that's on it so you guys can use it. It's really good stuff. My dad had it for years. So but what I usually do is, as you can tell right here, you just put some high temperature grease on the flange right here and put it some around the bearing right here. It's not gonna hurt the bearing. It's actually gonna do a little bit good for the bearing because it is grease. And then you put some around the whole entire spot right here. So in the future, when you do have to go and do axles, nuts, and by the way, you could do the same thing on the axle nut too as well, because sometimes it gets seized right in there, right in the inner part where the axle goes. So it's good to put high temperature grease right in there, so you can, the time I say quote down the line, when you do have to change the wheel bearing again, it's just gonna be nice and easy. So I didn't take this one off this one yet, so hopefully the wheel bearing itself will be easy to take off. So let me stop chatting because it's getting dark, it's getting cold. So let me just get this jack, take off this tire off the car, and knock this out. So I'm gonna show you guys the process of what you guys had to take off. Okay, so I'm pretty much probably behind the step of you guys, but now I got the jack stand. Make sure you have a jack stand. Never go underneath a car without a jack stand. And then you have your jack right next to it to support the jack stand. But make sure you put the most of the weight on the jack stand itself and not the jack, because a lot of people I see, especially in the boroughs, a lot of people just be underneath the car with this jack itself and no support. And just know these cars weighs 3,000 pounds. So, and plus, because it's kind of rare for a car to be in factory with 2,000 pounds. I don't even think it's Miata, but it might be. But again, that's still a lot of weight for a human. So you don't want to kill yourself over something that's very cheap and simple. 20 bucks, Harbor Freight, or go to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Advance Auto Parts, or whatever automotive store that is close to you. Okay, so let me get got my impact right there, and now how to get. And by the way, if it uses the lug nuts used for 21, but if you guys don't have a 21, you could use a 13/16 right there. Perfect fit. Okay. Whew. And it's a little trick that you guys can do. If you guys don't want to lose your lug nuts, just put them back in the wheel hole, or whatever safe place you guys really want to fit it at. But I think this is really the safest place, because time you take this wheel off, you're not going to be putting this wheel back on until you actually done. And most of the people probably put this underneath the car for extra safety. If you guys don't have a jack stand, I recommend just using your tire itself and putting that underneath the car. And just in case your jack do fail, the wheel is right here to support the car and save your life. So I would have used my impact wrench, but it's dead, sadly. I think. I don't know, but I think. But I'm gonna just use some hand tools, just like you guys and everybody else. So you have your axle nut loose. And if you guys really want to make sure your axle is out, you can flip this around. And then from there, you can get a couple, well, just flip this around, give it a couple taps. And mine is loose because I just replaced it and I use grease. So I don't have to worry about this. You just put this to the side. So the next step you do is you got to turn your wheel all the way to the left, and you got to take off the brakes and your brake pads, your whole entire brake assembly, your rotors, and I'll show you guys too how to do that. If you guys don't know how to do brakes, it's very easy. That was actually my first. That was actually my first thing ever to learn, that my dad taught me ever since I was little kid. I was like very little. So I'll just bring this whole entire thing over here. Okay. So if I believe I'm right, I'm recording my. Let me take this glove off. I hate working on with gloves. But yeah, it's a 14 millimeter. 14 millimeter. Don't know what standard, but you can try that out yourself. And just crack it loose. Hold on. Fail. I was loosening it. I was tightening it. All right. Crack it loose. Meanwhile, I'm doing this one hand. All right. And crack it loose. All right. Oh yeah. So by the way, I actually did do the clutch on here. The reason why I didn't post it, because I was actually promoting it on my channel, and because after a certain point, I got it done by myself. But after a certain point, one of my friends was supposed to help me, and he was giving me a hand. But after a certain point, he was a little bit busy, and my phone is at 5%, so I had to charge it. Let me get back to the story. Okay, I'm back. This is actually what I'm charging my phone with. It's just battery jumper. So hopefully that would do. But yeah, so you take off your brake pads. But before you do that, make sure before you take that off. Actually, I took off the bolts off before I even supposed to do it. Make sure you took off that bolt right there. And I believe it's a 12 mil. Yeah, it looks like it's a 12 mil for it. So yeah, definitely do that too as well. And never let your caliper hang. You don't want stress on it. So what you can do is, you can get a brick or something, or a bucket. What I'm going to do is use my tire. And I'm going to just put my tire right there. I have enough of clearance. So then it can rest right on there. And it won't put stress on the brake line. Because then you don't want to replace it. Just like because again, you're driving a Mitsubishi here, not a Honda. So these parts over here is good, but they ain't reliable. That's why you see me working on my car a lot. So I have to actually switch from the battery pack. There was, I guess, that little cable that was in my car that's in there wasn't the fastest. So phone went down to 1%. But yeah, you're gonna take out your brake pads. This is the perfect time to see any brake dust right here. Just clean it out. Yep, just clean. Yeah, you can clean it out because sometimes these brake dust. And I dropped one of these pieces, so I put that back on. Got a lot of life in the brake pad, and brand new rotors. So if I this is the bolt I was talking about that came off and I put on there. Yeah, this was it. So that was an emergency situation. So that's the reason why I did it like that. But I'm gonna fix it eventually. Right now it's holding, so why not? It's good for the winter time. So okay, so now after you get your, and actually my slide pins, oh, it's not seized. Well, that one is. And that one can use. Okay, well that's what I'm not. Damn, I need a lower control arm for this side too. A ball joint on that side too. I swear. Oh, these cars. Okay, so now I'll have to use 2 hands for this again. But now you take off the bracket itself, and I believe that's a 17 mil. Yes, it is. And it's a 17, so it should be. Yeah, I need 2 hands. Hold on. Oh, I just noticed something too. I have to actually take this off. So this is the perfect time to fix it right now, because I actually got a bolt for it in my trunk of my car. So this is a perfect time to fix it. So I'm gonna actually fix it now, so I don't have to use that long giant bolt. So, and hopefully, yeah. But yeah, it was a 17. That size is a little bit different. I think this is a 19 for this side here. Yes, it is. So that's what I want to be doing. So give me a second, and I will get back to you guys after I crack loose these bolts. Okay, so I took off the bracket here. I will get that bolt later on, and hopefully it's the right thread pattern. So now this is your time to take off the rotor, and my rotor is mint because it is brand new. Yeah, should have got the painted ones because I don't like that rust thing. God damn, that thing is bad. Sheesh. Okay, so yeah, that's what happened when you have a bad alignment for a very long time. Ball joints is probably one of the first causes of you're gonna be replacing so much. Because I replaced ball joints like it was brakes. Okay, so like I was saying. Okay, and we're just putting in that connector there from my broken fog lights that I need to buy. Okay, so this is your time to spray any type of WD-40 or if anything else like that. And this is the good thing too, is if your bolts is really stuck on here, or like very stuck, like it's seized on there type of thing, heat it up, and it's the perfect way. Use a crayon. The crayon is wax. If you heat up a bolt, I'm gonna explain a lot more than probably other people maybe, but if you use any type of WD-40 and stuff like that, any lubricant, it's good, but it's only good for if you're not putting no heat on there. But if you get in those real stuck bolts, those real stuck ones, then you need to put heat and the crayon, and the crayon is wax, and what the wax is pretty much you could say it's like WD-40, but it doesn't even evaporate. So then from there, it can seep right through in. The only con about that is you had to do it quickly, because the wax will dry up, and after when it dries up, then you have to reheat it again. But after you reheat it, then it's fine. But But if you use a crayon method, I recommend just heat it up, put the wax in there, and then from there heat it up again, and then from there you can put a little bit more wax in there and then crack it loose, and then hopefully it cracks loose. If it doesn't, then you round off the bolt, like, and if it's really stuck on there, like embedded in there inside the metal, yeah, nothing is not coming off. You just have to just, it can't be tight when it's liquid, or cut it off. So all right, so let me just knock these things out. And again, it is a 17 mil. So, and this is the 19. So get my 17 and crack these things loose. And maybe it could be a little bit easier if you use a extension too as well. Yeah, if you use the extension too as well. But yeah, we'll just try it out. 17 mil, and then let's knock these things out together. Okay, so I cracked loose the left two. So now how to do the right two, and then that requires you to turn the wheel all the way to the right now. So let me do that right now, and then it's on the charger, so I can't walk. So hold on. Okay, so now when you got all the bolts out, now you got the last process. And just the same thing how we took off that one, you're gonna do the same thing for this. One thing I do recommend, to get some PP blaster. Just going to spray some in the holes too as well. And it can kind of help. Yeah, it can kind of help it get loose a lot quicker. So now I just had to just look for got my hammer. I just had to look for my flathead. Oh, it's right behind me. It always happens. All right. So now what you do is, I always do this the flathead method. I took apart so many wheel bearings. I took apart the back ones that I only took one off. I think it was that one right there. For the whole entire time me owning this car. The other side I never took off yet. So yeah, and I worked on customers' cars doing wheel bearings. I always did the flathead method. Some reason it just works. I actually rented those slide hammers that you go onto this, and the problem is, the first time I rented that and I got it, I just took off the whole entire, not the whole entire thing, but it was so bad. I guess it depends on the wheel bearing, but I took off the horn. I took off all, like just this, like this spot right here. I forgot what it's called, but the rest, though, the bearing part was still in there. So that's when I just took a flathead and I did that method, and that's how I learned. And ever since that day, I just kept on doing the same thing. So you're gonna see it on right now, and you're gonna see it off in 2 seconds. So the flathead method really do work, because as you can see right here, yeah, it's halfway. It's separated. And then what you could do is you could probably spray some more PP blaster in there. And honestly, it works. As long as you get a small enough flathead that's skinny enough, like kind of like a chisel. If you can get a chisel, that's even better. As long as it's like a skinny point of it, and that can drive right in the middle of that and then knock that off, because you don't care about this. So you will probably might be damaging this a little bit, but as you can tell right here, it's really not that much damage. Really, you wouldn't even notice if I even said anything. So yeah, you just keep on hitting it, and then just keep going around it. And I recommend trying to have the wheel straight, because the time you got to go around it, and you don't want to keep on turning this wheel every 10 seconds like I'm doing right now. And I'm by myself, so if you have a partner here, then that would have been even better. They could sit in the car, just sit there and relax, and then just tell them to hold the brake or whatever you tell them to do, and then boom. So let me just hammer this out, and you're gonna see it right here. And as you guys can see, It's off. By the way, I never took this off ever for like a couple years now. I actually bought this housing from for one of my boys, not a random guy. But pretty much, yeah. I used PP Blaster. I used PP Blaster and the flathead. And as you can see, if you guys want to see the damage, let me just wipe this off my pants. But if you want to see the damage, it's not that much damage on the flathead, but it is a tool. So, and this is the perfect time. So right now, you're pretty much halfway there. Now you just get your new wheel bearing, you put it on, but before you do that, you want to prep it first. You see how dirty this is? Yeah, it's not good. So what you're gonna do is get your rag, clean this up a little bit, a bit. If you have some brake clean, that would be even better, but I don't got no brake clean, so I ain't doing it. But if you have some rubbing alcohol, you could do that too as well. But that's really unnecessary. So yeah, so let me get something wipe this off, and then I'm gonna start prepping the whole entire thing with the high temperature grease. So when I do have to change this again, hopefully we don't, cross our fingers, then it'll just be nice and easy, just how that one is. Sometimes it'd be so easy with the high temperature grease that all I had to do was just pull it and it comes right off. Okay, so I got a yellow one. I wanted to get like a darker. I had the other ones was kind of like, it was a little more crappier than this. So just to wipe things off with it. So you just want to clean it. This is the perfect time to this is a perfect time to, if you want to do some brake clean too as well. If you have a wire brush, that will be even better than how it is, because then you can kind of break up the rust a little bit. Honestly, I do have a wire brush, but I'm not going looking for it. High temperature grease is really good how it is. And so again, I'm gonna put this in the strip. I said the word wrong. Description. I said that word wrong again. All right. So yeah. So now I had to get the wheel bearing. All right. So it's all. I'm gonna be cleaning that too as well. That ain't good for the bearing, so I have all these leaves in it. Yeah, so I'm gonna clean this too. I'm gonna do this off camera. I'm gonna clean it. But yeah, so you got your high temperature grease, STP, high temperature grease. That says right there. And then you're just gonna put some, or just put around the whole entire housing right here, and put some on the axle shaft too, because sometimes this stuff gets seized on there if you don't really take it off a very long period of time. So yeah, so that is very, very important. Very important. You're just going to do those type of stuff. I'm gonna clean up this wheel bearing because this is disgusting, and yeah, this is gonna be in there, stays in there. So I'm gonna actually clean this up and stuff. So bear with me. I'm gonna do this off camera and clean up a couple of stuff and prep it before I install. Okay, so I clean this the best I'm doing. I can do a lot better, but I put a little bit of I probably put a little bit too much, but sometimes the more the merrier. So then from there, you just same way how you took it off, you're gonna install it, and I'm gonna need two hands because I need to slide it over the axle shaft here, and pretty much, yeah. So let's just knock this thing out. And this is a little tip too. I got some grease on my screen, but this is a little tip. Don't put it in all the way, because sometimes it can be off by a smidge, and then after you get this thing all the way in, sometimes it might be sometimes it be a pain to get it adjusted. So you kind of like just want to let it sit in there and just put the, see how it's off a little bit, and then see how much this gap. So it's not gonna be that hard to rotate it. Yeah, see, it actually came off, so it's not that hard to rotate it. So you kind of like just want to hand tighten all the bolts before you get it all snug in there. After you get it snug in there, you can push it in there, or you can just tighten up the bolts in a cross pattern to press it in there by itself. So you could do one or the other. So let me just get this knocked out because it's cold, and again, it's getting dark. Okay, so now I got these things all hand tightened in. So now what I can do is just, I can just tighten in or push the hardest that you can push in. So I'm not gonna be, you can't bang this on, but what I'm just gonna do is just take my wrench and just tighten it in. Just try to do this as quickly as possible, because honestly it's getting cold out here, and probably it's 4 o'clock, so I got like an hour left of daylight time. Daylight. All right, so let me just tighten this up. Okay, so now the bolts in hand is not, it's kind of, it's not tightened, but it's snug for right now. Now get your axle nut here, and you can screw this on, and yeah, you can do this hand tighten for now. And again, I'm gonna put the torque specs not in the link below, but I'm gonna actually say it when I look it up, because I remembered, but I kind of forgot. Looks like the, wow, that is actually loose. Yeah, how to tighten that? Yeah, look at that. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna get new suspension, new suspension and everything. I know about this right here. It's supposed to be another collar, supposed to be right there. I don't really know about that. I'm buying new one soon, because honestly these things are blown. So okay, so now when you hand tighten and everything like that, so now the next step you do is well, I hand tightened it. You probably guys just tightened it, but I had to just tighten up these bolts in the back into just, you know, just tighten up really very good. And then from there it's just everything left off before. You know, there's just, you put the rotor back on, you put your brake pads back on, you put your caliper back on and stuff like that. I'm not gonna put that in the video because you guys are gonna see everything on. I'm not going step by step by that process, because you guys already know how to do brakes. Yeah, so then from there, yeah, I'll show you guys the next process for that. Okay. All right. So after, when you just put on the rotors, brake pads, and the calipers, now you got the last step. So that's good. You about to be done. Good job. So now what you about to go and do is, if you have a torque wrench, you can you tighten it to 180 foot-pounds. So my torque wrench only goes to 150. So I guess we had to do what we had to do. If you have another torque wrench that goes to 300, but I don't have the sockets for it yet. So I'm gonna just do extra rotations and count it. Hopefully it counts. So yeah. So, but before you even torque it down, if you do have a torque wrench, that's good. If you don't, just get a cheetah bar, just get a long cheetah bar and just tighten it until it's kind of like a feeling thing, until you know it can't go anymore. Other than that, if you don't want to use a cheetah bar and give it impact, you could just impact it. Put on like number 2. If you have a Harbor Freight impact, just go all the way. Yeah, just go all the way. Harbor Freight impact don't really, no. Yeah, so I was lucky enough the impact actually took it off. So all right, so let me get my torque wrench out of the car. Okay, I got my torque wrench By the way, I got this for, yeah, Harbor Freight again. Don't know how much it was, but I did bought it. I needed it because it's always good to have the torque wrench. But that's the only biggest one I have. I will actually want to get the smaller ones too as well, because sometimes, like, let's say if you're doing like a clutch job, like you kind of like, I like to torque it to spec, OEM recommended. Other than that, then yeah, other than that, probably for the moped or whatever. But like major things, engine components. But okay, so let me just get this tire on. I'm tightening too much. Let me get this tire on, and then from there, yeah, then from there, I get the tire on the wheel nuts. Is at 85 foot-pounds of torque for this vehicle. Is actually for a lot of vehicles is 85 foot-pounds, but it's the same thing for this too. And the axle nut is 180 foot-pounds of torque. So that's what you do for that too. If yours goes to 150 like mine do, just count the rotations to 10, and then yeah, just count one full rotation, and then just do that for 10, 10, 10, so you get 180. And if that works, that works. Okay, so I got the wheels on, got it kind of snug. I'm gonna torque it to spec still. So now the next step is obviously you just take off your jack support out the car, so you got to jack it up. And then you want to slowly bring down the jack. All right, you just want to get the wheel just touching. You don't want all the weight to be on the floor, but you just want it just to get it touching, because you still have to torque it down to spec. So first thing I'm gonna do is the lug nuts, because it's easier and it's more important for right now. So I'm trying to do this and edit this out. There we go. Boom. And boom. Okay. So if you guys don't know how to use a torque wrench, it's kind of like the old-fashioned way. So they have the numbers right here, left and right. So it's kind of hard to see, but they got up to 40, like the 20, all the way up to 150. But you can go probably a little bit past it. That's what I do sometimes, but at least for this. If it don't work for 180, then it would just be 150, and that's plenty for this car. But this is for the GTS model, cause I looked it up, and that's 180. So it's probably better to be the same for the GT and the GTS. It probably might be a little bit less for the 4-cylinder. Maybe, but it could be the same too as well. But so let me just start tightening this down. Let me see if I can prop this up so you guys can see what I'm doing. Just like last time I did that. So I just did it like that. This is a good video. Now let's do the axle. 140, 150, 160, 180. Okay, so it's all torqued down. When you torquing these things up to like at least 100, 150 plus, you kind of like just want to make sure you use your legs. Now you guys did a wheel bearing job on a 2003 Mitsubishi Eclipse or whatever vehicle you have, and that's the best ways how to take off a wheel bearing. Some people hit it. I see people bolt things up to it and slam it, keep on hitting it. All it is just so easy. As long as you get that separation of the wheel bearing itself, then that's like the easiest way how to do all of this. You can knock this out anytime, as long and even if you have those flatheads that has the straight through, it's like a I don't know, it's only used for like hitting and smashing things with it, but that will be even better, and it will be a more of a shock towards the wheel bearing itself. But just like and subscribe. See you guys in the next one. And yeah, I really do appreciate you guys watching my videos. And if you guys want to see anything that I can improve of, just definitely let me know. But at the end of the day, positivity every day, and that's how the world goes around, is positivity. Yeah, just like and subscribe. See you guys at the next one.